Good afternoon. My name is Tracy Gray, and I'm the Managing Director for the Power Up What Works project. And I'm joined today with my colleague Judith Zorfus from the EDC, and she's going to be joining me on our presentation for blended professional development for technology integration to meet the Common Core state standards. We're just delighted to be here, and it looks like we have a terrific group today. We know that the whole issue of Common Core state standards and how we train teachers and other professionals is really a critical topic. So we are eager to jump in here and look at a series of topics that will hopefully get a discussion going related to how can we ensure that our technology really helps leverage our professional development activities. So what are we going to be looking at today? Well, we're going to look at what blended professional development actually looks like. We're going to be focusing on the value of this approach for school leaders and others who are engaged in training not only future teachers, but also teachers who are working in the classroom today. We're going to look at the issue of who actually designs this type of blended professional development and what are the hot topics that they need to be thinking about. And finally, we're going to explore the issue of finding valuable resources to help those who are delivering blended professional development. So what is this new animal that we're hearing a lot about? It seems every place you turn, there's information and discussion about this new approach that is the intersection between traditional face-to-face professional development that we've been delivering for many, many years and using new online professional learning tools to conduct and deliver training and professional development for pre-service and in-service teachers. So let's look at some examples of blended PD. When we look at face-to-face professional development, these are many approaches and methods that you're all familiar with. Your traditional workshops, your mentoring, coaching, more new approaches where there's professional learning communities that are created and developed, and study groups where teachers and other educators come together to focus on specific topics that relate to teaching and learning in the classroom. When we move to the right-hand side, we see online professional development. What does that look like? Well, that involves taking our traditional workshops and creating online courses that offer either the ability to access that information at a specific time in a synchronized approach where everyone is looking at the curriculum on Tuesday at 1 o'clock, or possibly it's asynchronous where the user is able to go just in time, when they have time, to access the professional development. In online PD, you also see the use of discussion online forums where particular ideas and concepts are presented and people are able to jump in and provide current information, give their opinions, talk about things that they've learned, or also discuss challenges and barriers that they've encountered. As you can imagine, this tends to be self-paced learning where the opportunity to go back and review information is available, where people can go and continue to access the information and really serve as a constant source of refreshing that information and the ability to stay current. Many online professional development courses and content offer embedded videos. Some of these videos, as you know, are professionally developed, and others oftentimes are snippets from classrooms, examples of good teaching or bad teaching, and they tend to be, in most instances, targeted to a specific topic or area. And then, of course, you have your collaborative online activities, which serve as a motivator for the PD participants. More and more, we're seeing the use of motivational badges. For those of you who are familiar with the Mozilla badge initiatives, those are free and can be embedded in professional development curriculum where your users are able to acquire badges as they move through a particular content area. So when we think of blended PD, we think of those professional development experiences that take the best of the face-to-face PD and combine it with online PD and offer a variety of ways that people can access this information. So what's the actual value of this approach? What this offers the coordinator for professional development is the opportunity to really extend the time for professional development. Oftentimes, PD tends to be a one-time offering or a two-day offering where a course is given and where, in fact, a particular time is set aside, but once it's done, it's done. When you integrate a blended PD approach, you're really talking about offering people the opportunity to go back, to get the information when they know that they need it, rather than trying to find it in maybe the materials that were passed out. They're able to receive and build upon the information in a just-in-time format. It offers the opportunity for deeper learning, and it offers the opportunity to have this embedded motivational aspect where learners are able to come together with others who are also learning and to continue to grow as they're acquiring the information, but also as they're using it in their classrooms. Another reason to consider professional development that brings in a blended approach is that there's more opportunity for leadership roles. So as teachers acquire and hone their skills, they're able to share that with others. Rather than there being just one expert in the room, if you will, it allows for those who become more proficient and more skilled at integrating the technology to share those experiences with their colleagues. Again, it offers anywhere, anytime learning, which in today's busy world, with teachers being bombarded by all different types of initiatives and the push and pull of not only learning, but having to then turn around and integrate those learnings into the classroom, it allows the teacher to have a place where they can go back and continue to refresh. It's individualized. It allows the teacher who is maybe new to a particular topic to drill down more fully on that topic, and it allows the individual who's more proficient in a particular area to move ahead at their own pace. And finally, underscoring this whole issue of collaboration and the ability to work collaboratively, building upon the learnings of the professional development, and to continue to work together as you integrate the technology, you learn what works, and you also learn what the barriers are, to share those with your colleagues in an ongoing way. So who can design this particular blended learning. What we found is once you take the professional development out of the hands of the professional development coordinator, you can see that there are more opportunities for others to step up to the plate, whether it's your PD staff or coaches or lead teachers. But you can also expand to curriculum supervisors, special education coordinators, your technology coordinators, school leaders, and teacher educators. Those teacher educators who are involved in pre-service training. When you talk about blended PD, because you can break it up into smaller chunks of content, it really allows for the delivery of a professional development experience over a broader range of time. So what are some of the hot topics that we've heard as we've traveled around the country working with different school districts and different educational leaders, rolling out our Power Up What Works website? The issues that seem to be really a source of focus around the country is how do we align instruction to the Common Core state standards? How do we implement evidence-based practices to ensure that the quality of instruction is based on research and is based on what we know to be best practices in education? And one of the issues that continues to be of particular concern is how do we integrate and leverage the power of technology into our curriculum? As we know, very often technology gets delivered to a district or to a school without the necessary supports needed so that teachers can really understand how to integrate that technology into their curriculum on a sustained and ongoing basis. And then finally, how do we ensure that the needs of students who are struggling and those with disabilities are actually a key focus for our teachers? We know that over 60% of our students with disabilities spend more than 80% of their time in general education classrooms. With that being said, it's a real reality check that teachers need to be prepared to deal with all types of students, whether they are diagnosed with special needs, whether they're struggling, or whether they're just in general education classrooms. So that brings us to the point of where can you find some valuable resources that can help you address these issues, that can help you think about how to create blended learning professional development experiences, and how can we ensure that teachers have access to the information that they need when they need it. So now I'm going to turn the platform over to my colleague, Judy Zorfus, and she's going to give you a quick tour of Power Up What Works and the Tech Matrix, which is a valuable online tool that helps you identify technology that can be used in your classroom and can be used as part of your professional development. Judy, take it away.
Hello, everyone. This is Judy. Nice to be with you this afternoon. So I wanted to talk to you about 2 free resources that are available to you without any charge. They've been funded by the federal government. I want to talk about Power Up What Works, and I both work on that project, and about the Tech Matrix, and we're both involved in that as well. In just a moment, I'm showing you the Power Up What Works website, and what we're going to do is first take a quick tour of major components of the website, and then Tracy will show you a little bit about the Tech Matrix, and then we'll do an example of what it could look like if you were using this in blended learning. I want to note that as Tracy was talking, there was a really nice chat going on about the value of bed and the use of Mozilla, and somebody even put that link up there, way to get badges. As we show you the tour of Power Up and the Tech Matrix, I bet you'll see that there are things that you could use as part of your online or face-to-face PD, where you could actually give badges to your team or to your staff as they are using these materials. So right now, we're in the Power Up What Works website, and website focuses on materials for classroom teachers. It focuses on materials for those people who are responsible for professional development and teacher education, the school leaders who need to think about the overall context of technology implementation in their school. I want to show you what we have for teachers. And Caroline is my helper today. She's driving the website. And Caroline's going to be opening the Instructional Strategy Guide. Instructional Strategy Guide is that where we have content that would help you in your classroom, that would help teachers in the classroom to align instruction to the Common Core, that would help them to integrate technology, that would help them to differentiate instruction, to utilize principles of universal design for learning. And if you see on the left navigation, perhaps you can point that out, Caroline, that our instructional strategy guides are organized under two: English language arts and math. I'm going to ask Caroline to go to English language arts because that's really my area of expertise. It opens up the English language arts instructional strategy guides. You'll see that we have 11 different instructional strategy guides. All of these are research-based practices, been shown to be critical for helping students meet the Common Core standards in terms of foundational skills, reading literature, informational text, listening and speaking. Excuse me. And so if you scroll down, you can see all the topics that we have there. I'm going to just show you just one so you can see what would be in an instructional strategy guide. And what I show you in one is the same for every one of them. How about fluency, Caroline? Fluency is a very critical foundational skill. One of the great, very respected researchers in the field, Bridget Dalton, helped us on this. And so when you open up an instructional strategy guide, you're always going to find the same thing. You are going to find an overview, short slideshow. So again, I'm thinking, how could this be used in blended learning? If I was designing blended learning, might I ask people to read this in advance and look at the slideshow? Caroline, just maybe just one slide or two slides would be enough, the flavor of that. If you could scroll down just a little, that would be great. So we have a slideshow. And if I was using this in blended learning, I might think that beforehand, ask people to look at the slideshow. But when we were together, there are discussion questions. And these discussion questions could be used in a group collaborative setting. So I don't know if just my computer, but I'm not seeing anything change on the screen. And I'm just wondering about other people too. If you could write in chat and tell me if you're seeing the slide, because I'm not
Some
seeing.
things do not show up in the web tour. Just the website does. Sometimes embedded content does not show up for the other people.
Jason,
everyone has to scroll down themselves. So as you scroll down, everybody else needs to scroll down to see where you're going.
Okay, so I just scrolled down and I just hit the slideshow.
Great.
And there you could see that there are several slides all about fluency. Okay, so we have the slideshow. Let me just get to one more that would have a discussion question. questions. So I'm going to come back to this later when I give an example of blended learning using materials on Power Up and the Tech Matrix. We always have the Common Core State standards that align to fluency. We always have instructional strategies. The heading that you see here is an evidence-based practice taken from the IES practice guides, and underneath that we have instructional suggestions, what teachers could do. Here's a support for the fact that this is an IES recommendation. Going further, we always have an example of what would it look like in a classroom if a teacher was carrying out fluency strategies aligned to the standards using technology. And here we have 3 different classroom examples.
Okay, Judy, I'm just going to jump in here, and if we could just take 1 second, we can find a solution so that we can, in fact, let people see where you're going. So why don't you just take a minute and talk about how we got to Power Up based on our field site operations, and we're going to deal with the technical issues right here. Stay tuned.
Okay, because what was happening to me is that as I was talking about the website, I was actually opening up different parts of it. So for some reason I had control and I was able to do that.
Great. Well,
so let me just explain the back. So I'll tell you a little bit about the background while we're figuring this out. Power Up, as I said, is a federally funded project. It's funded by the U.S. Department of Education, the Office of Special Education Programs. And what's been exciting about this project is that our goal was always about being responsive to the needs of the field. So we've always been in a development and testing mode. We've been able to work with selected school districts across the country over the last 4 years, so that as we've developed Power Up, we have tested it out in schools with teachers, with administrators, staff. We could find out, in fact, how it's used, what would make it better, make it realistic and usable for it. So I'm wondering, are we up to a place that I should back into what's happening in the website?
I think we're there, Judy. You can now show the website, and you should be able to operate it from your end. Again, our apologies. Go forward, Judy. People see it. Great.
Okay, that's great. All right, so if I can, from my end, I am opening up. I'm not opening it up. So, Caroline, if you can operate it, can you open up, view the Common Core standards? Yes. Okay, and so as I had said earlier, we have the relevant standards that would go with fluency. Caroline, if you open up Explore Teach with Tech, where I was talking about the evidence-based practices, 3 categories of practices. 1 comes from the IES practice guide. So this is a place for suggestions to teachers. So again, you might think about discuss this at a meeting, people to look this over in advance, online, which you have them pick out a few of the strategies that they'd like to try in their classrooms. If Caroline clicked on Provide Explanations, you would see that where the evidence base came, this is where it comes from in terms of the IES recommendations. So one feature of our website is we're very grounded in the evidence, in the research. So we're offering ideas that have been tested and been shown to make a difference, especially for students who are struggling. Let's go down a little more, and I think where I had ended up about the lessons in action. And what I was saying is that not only do we have concrete specific strategies, we always also have case studies of what it would look like in practice if a teacher was carrying out this kind of instruction. We are in the Fluency Instructional Strategy Guide, and there are different little case stories. Let's open the one on repeated reading. In fact, repeated reading was just talked about by IES in a new study about what really, and they emphasize fluency and repeated reading. This is what a lesson in action looks like. Let me just mention the different parts. There's always a context. It's telling you a little bit about the classroom. So if you were thinking you were going to be visiting this classroom, you would be seeing Mr. Lamb. Mr. Lamb's school is very focused on the Common Core State Standards. These are the ones that he's working on. It's been discussed at his grade level meetings. For this particular lesson, he identified a lesson objective, if you could scroll down just a little more. And then he identified what technology tools he would use. But that wasn't enough, because he had a lesson objective, he needed to have assessment. He needed to think, how would he know if he was meeting his objective? What you find in the context setting part at the top is a is a clear, vivid description of what Mr. Lamb's instruction looked like in the classroom. So we have a case study of what he does before reading, during reading, and after. But we know that sometimes people like a distilled version of a lesson. So Caroline is circling around the left-hand column where we've taken the different steps in his teaching lesson and put them there. Told us the value of this for lesson planning, that this is a wonderful catalyst or a jumping off point or foundation for their own lesson planning. And people who are doing PD have told us this is a great way to get people together for collaborative lesson planning. Okay, so that should give you an idea. We've looked at the Common Core, we looked at the Teach with Tech, the strategies, the lessons in action. Let's go to Caroline and see what else is in each one of our strategy guides. After the lesson, we also have videos. These videos are ways to visually see what the instruction could look like, as well as what technology tools that align to fluency. So captioning would be a really great strategy to use, a great technology to use for teaching fluency. We also have the third one down is improving fluency with technology. You open that video for just this. This is a video that is just about 3 minutes long, 3 to 4 minutes long. It quickly focuses on fluency, assisted reading, and it gives you a good sense about what the skill involves, what the teacher should be doing, and ways technology to meet individual differences within the classroom to different instruction. I'm wondering if when you see this, thinking, gee, these should be great would be terrific bringing people together in a professional learning community or a study group. We could do that with this video, and then we could do something after that. So we could utilize online materials and then go from there. Also, people look at this beforehand and come prepared with a set of questions to discuss while they're face-to-face. Specific teaching strategies, our elaborated lesson described and a little steps in a lesson plan. We have videos, and we also have, Caroline, to go down, and now next, the professional development support materials. Each of our instructional strategy guides has in it suggestions of someone who has responsibility for professional development to use to make the most of what's in the instructional strategy guide. So let's take a look and see what's in here. And let's open the PDF. And we have materials for using 3 of the components of an instructional strategy guide. We using that slideshow. We always state the goals, the materials you could use, suggestions for the activity. And if you go down just a little more, Caroline, you see that we've listed what questions that had been embedded in the slideshow. Now we put them here. So again, maybe before you get together with people face-to-face, you ask them, just go and look at the slideshow. Check out the discussion questions. Make some notes to yourself. And you reflect on what you're seeing. When people come together, you can group them in small groups. You could discuss them. And use, again, as a way to further explore fluency. So that's one possibility of what we have to teach power of and what we have of a team facilitator to use what we have, instructional strategy guide. Okay, here's another set of directions. These are directions for using the Teach with Tech. The Teach with Tech was that component that had the specific teaching strategies, the evidence-based. Again, we've offered PD goals, the PD materials, suggestions for PD activities. Now we offer the facilitator, the curriculum coordinator, special educator, whoever it is, some group of professionals. We offer a worksheet, a handout. This is organized along the left in terms of the 3 categories of strategies, and here are the strategies listed. So what's the advantage of having this third column be blank? Well, this is a discussion opportunity, a way to engage participants in a discussion about how they would further create instruction with technology. The technology there at the school. So it becomes personalized to your school in terms of these are best practices. This is a way to think about how to support those practices with the technology you have in hand. Which is why it would be terrific to have curriculum people from English language arts or math, the technology people, the special educators, the differentiating and the technology. And look at the third part, and the third piece there, excuse me, the third piece there has to do with, if you can go down a little more, Carolyn, it was in action. Again, we have materials for the PD person. What are your goals? What are your materials? What's your activity? And if you go down just more, there are a little scavenger hunt. So recommend that if you were using this for PD, you would say, okay, I'm going to engage in close reading of the case study. And then these would be good discussion questions. How did you see in this case the teacher aligning instruction to meet the Common Core? Did the teacher use any of the Teach with Tech practices? What can the teacher do to support students? How did the teacher personalize instruction? Did you use instances or evidence where UDL practices into action? And then, of course, the bonus question, you didn't like the case, you couldn't find any of this, what would you do? How could you make the teaching better? Which is always a great way to stimulate conversation, either in an online discussion around the case or when people were together. Excuse me. Caroline, let's go back and let's instructional strategy. Point out that we always have resources that are available for good teaching tips, good ways to get materials in terms of teaching tips. We have a Pinterest page where we put materials related to fluency. Thinking about the varied kinds of the instructional strategy guides. There are 10 that focus on English language arts, and there are 8 that focus on different strategies. I should go and explore those on your own. Let's just see the list of strategies. If you scroll down just a little, people can see what they are. Aligned to the Common Core standards, the practice standards. Every one of these is organized in the same way as the fluency that I had shown you. Well, as I said, that's for teachers, but we also embedded in each instructional strategy guide the materials for a PD person, and also have an entire section that's called professional development. If you could go there, that would be great. We have a professional development facilitator guide that helps people who are in that role, in service, pre-service, to really think about how they can power up, how they could introduce it. Then we even have examples of what you could do for a 2-hour workshop, a 4-hour workshop, a face-to-face session that just brings people together in a learning community. We offer flyers if you were going to bring together, if you wanted to teach what is Power Up about. There's even an example template, an email that you can send out if you want to bring people together. A web hunt to get people familiar with Power Up, a technology survey, a follow-up action, like what did you get out of this workshop and what are you going to do right away? Translating what people would do face-to-face or online into practice. So I wanted to just give you a quick view of Power Up. There's so much more there. There's a whole on formative assessment that links back to English language and math instruction. I wanted you to also have a quick view of the tech matrix. And I'm going to ask Tracy to do that, and then it's going to come back to me, and I'm going to show you an example of how I would set up blended learning using the Power Up website and tech matrix. So Tracy, how about a brief overview of the tech matrix?
Great, thanks so much, Judy. You can see the tech matrix on the screen. This is a tool that we have been developing and refining over the past 6 years. What we realized was there was a great need for educators, whether they're teachers in the classroom or administrators or technology coordinators, who are interested in not only knowing what different types of technology tools are out there, but also the ability to be able to compare those tools across different research criteria. So we've created this tool that allows you to type in a particular subject. Why don't we type in autism? And then to look at a content area, let's see what we can find. Let's look at reading and math. We'll look at both. And let's select a grade level. We can do all so that we can see the tools that are in there. The IDEA disability category, that allows you to select specific categories depending upon if you have children with special needs. So we're going to click all, and we're going to look at the instructional supports, the different types of support systems that are available, particularly to meet the needs of students who are struggling or with disabilities. And let's do all there too. So what we're going to do now is look at the products that come up, and what you're going to see is that it looks like our search function was too broad, so why don't we just take off the math, and we should be able to see the products that are working there. So what you'll see on the right-hand side are different products, and it looks like there's a total of 98. And so if we wanted to compare, let's compare our ABC animals, and let's go down. So if we click on the ABC animals, and let's compare it with the Abilipad and the Academy of Reading Tools. And what we should be able to do is go down and compare those different tools across to see how they compare. So let's do that and see what comes up in terms of looking at how these different tools, what they offer in terms of particular content, We can see that 2 of the 3 tools can be used for reading and writing. They are differentiated by grade level. You can see that they can be used in the elementary school level and the intermediate level, but that only 2 of the 3 tools, for example, are appropriate for the intermediate elementary school level. Going down, you can see that the Academy of Reading tool is the one that offers specific speech or learning impairment supports, and that they offer instructional supports. So if you were to click on one of the X's there, the checks, what that allows you to do is to get more information about the particular tool. So why don't we go back up and let's look at the glossary. What we found in developing the tech matrix is that oftentimes educators are not aware of what the different features are that are available on these technology tools. So for example, adjustable levels, that allows you to either provide single skills or group skills at a variety of levels. You can adjust the particular level to allow the student to work independently, and that there's a whole built-in series of scaffolds that allows the student to really build toward a higher level of proficiency using this particular technology support tool.
Tracy, there's a question that came up, which is this, do you only have AT tools on the Tech Matrix?
That's a great question, Judy. No, we have both assistive technology tools and educational technology tools. And we also have been adding over the last 12 months apps, educational apps. What we wanted to do was ensure that those, particularly general education teachers who were struggling with trying to meet the needs of their students, that they were aware that there are technology tools out there to support their struggling learners. So we have both general technology tools and assistive technology tools on the Tech Matrix. But we also offer, if you look at suggest products, this allows our users to provide us with information about products that they've encountered. And when you send us those product names or apps, that allows us to put those through our vetting process to keep the Tech Matrix correct. The other thing that we offer is information on current research. If you go back to home, what you'll see is that you can find information on our research that allows you to understand what the research base is for a particular area. We keep this up to date, and it allows, particularly for teachers or administrators who are being asked to provide the evidence base for the selection of particular technology tools, it allows you to find that research to provide justification to select a particular technology tool or a series of technology tool suites. I'm sorry?
I was going to say this is so great, and I'd love to be able to show how I would put together a little blended learning plan using the Tech Matrix and Power Up.
Great. Well, Judy, do you want to take it away and do that?
Yes, I do. I do want to take it away. And so I'd like to go back to Power Up. And this is my example. We're going to jump around a little. So I'm saying that I am an ELA who works as a curriculum supervisor, perhaps as a title in your school, in an elementary school. And we've been working on different comprehension skills that would help students with their informational text reading or reading of literature. So online, I have a discussion area for my teachers in my school. Excuse me, and I tell them, please go and read the Summarizing Instructional Strategy Guide. Excuse me. And what I'd like them to do is to look at the Teach with Text within the Summarizing Strategy Guide. So I'd like them to go Summarizing. I'd like them to go to the Teach with Text. And I'd like them to not only review this, but to come prepared for our next professional learning community, our PLC, that we have every other week. I'd like them to come prepared with 3 strategies from here they'd like to try out in their classroom, and with some ideas about how to use technology, having gone to the so simple strategies and what technology could you use, have found something of value in the tech matrix from this kind of search that Tracy just showed you. I also want them to read, before they come, the lesson about summarizing. I know that I want to when we're together, but I want them to be prepared. So I'd like them to read the lesson, especially the one about summarizing informational text, because where the kids in our school are having the most problem. When it comes to literature, but when we get to the social studies and the science, that's where we have breakdowns. So I want them to be able to find 3 strategies in the Teach with Tech, find a technology tool from the tech matrix that works with it, read the lesson in action, and look at one of the quick views, one of the videos. Now, they have 2 weeks, so they could do it. In the discussion area that I have for our school website, I'm going to keep putting some prompts up to remind them and to encourage conversation. So I might ask a prompting to about how a certain strategy would be useful in your classroom. So that's what I would do beforehand. And then 2 weeks later, time for our face-to-face session. So what are we going to do now? Well, just to start it off, I'm going to say, let's look at the slideshow together, just as a way that we're all talking language, we have a shared experience, a quick view of this slideshow together, and just discuss as we come along to the different questions. I want to make sure we're just all on the same page. Then I would go to that differentiating the strategy chart, which was aligned to the Teach with Tech. So Caroline, you're going to have to go to the PD support materials, and when you open that up, we're going to the second PD support. Thank you. You're doing such a great job. I really appreciate this. And we're going to scroll down to the 4th page. And I'm going to have this handout ready. And we're going to first go around, and people are going to tell us which strategies they found that would be valuable for their students. We'll go around, we'll check them off, why, and they'll tell each other why they did that. It'll be very interesting to see if there's some convergence or if they picked a lot of different things. Then we go to the differentiating the instruction. What did you pick from the tech matrix? How could you further differentiate this? And have a discussion about that. So here we'll have variation in the what they picked as strategies and variation in terms of perhaps they all found wonderful apps that were free that they could use. Next, we'll use a scavenger hunt since I had asked them to create preliminary. So we'll end the session by discussing these questions. Knowing that we want to carry this over for more ongoing learning that carries over from one setting to another, we'll put some discussion questions back, and I'm going to ask people to go out and check related blogs on PowerUp to do with summarizing that have to do with the technology that they could have found. I'm also going to ask them to try out one resource from Pinterest and tell us how it worked. And of course, in our area, I'd like them to share and reflect. How did this work for you? What did you find? What happened to your students? Can you tell me about one student who, in fact, was able to succeed of the way you used the strategy with the technology and the way in which you differentiated instruction? So this would just be a little snapshot of blended learning in terms of what people could do in picking out, in encouraging them to go to specific places within PowerUp and the Tech Matrix when they're working on their own, in self-paced learning, guided learning through me, but then that sets it up so we have a very rich and powerful conversation when we're together as part of a professional learning community or a workshop or maybe a grade level meeting or maybe a faculty meeting. And then there's the follow-on. So it's not just ends right there, but it continues. And it builds to the next sequence of what happens online, what happens face-to-face, and what happens online. And while we're face-to-face, we could be using a lot of the online materials as well. Having heard me say this, would anyone like to write in chat any ways that you could even strengthen my little design, my little someone asked you, Tracy, are these lessons based on strategies? Yes, they are. So the strategies in Teach with Tech then find their way into the lessons in action. Anyone have suggestions about any of the things that you saw in PowerUp, in an instructional strategy guide, anything that you saw in the Tech Matrix that you think could be useful in your own settings as you're planning blended professional learning? Okay, so is that Jen is saying absolutely, and I love exclamation points at the end. Thank you, Jen. Jason is saying already sent out the link to curriculum folks in the district. Fabulous. There's a lot of information here. Yes, we talk fast. We have a lot to show you, but the beauty of Power, there is a lot, and the beauty is that once you get into it and you what's relevant to you and your school and your professional needs, that I'm sure you'll be able to find that could really utilize this rich site. And Jen is saying, I'm sorry, Jen is saying, you will likely add these to our online learning modules. Fabulous. And use them in some of the training. Great. And Jason is saying, are there technology Web 2.0 tools that are suggested, I guess, relating to each expanded area? This is something that we're working on, but embedded into make sure that there's even more technology, but embedded in the Teach with Tech strategies are technology. And also the advantage of having the quick view videos is another way to bring in the technology tools that would be related. And when you get to PowerUp and you look at the left navigation, the technology in your classroom. Our teaching tips have technology ideas, but that's why the concept of PowerUp works and the Tech Matrix becomes a really nice marriage, bringing them to Tracy, did you have anything?
Judy, I was just wanting to point out the Pinterest, the resources that we've identified on the Pinterest page. What we have heard from so many of our teachers is that they're really very interested in getting what we call grab-and-go resources. And so what we've done is create a Pinterest page where our user can go and get some resources that they can use in their classroom throughout the day, throughout the week, and throughout the year. So we encourage people to go to that. These are all curated resources that we've identified that relate to the content on our site.
And we keep updating that, Tracy. We keep it fresh. There's always going to be something new. And again, I'm always thinking about if I was in a school, and there are days I wish I was back in a school, that I would not only encourage people to do this, but immediately talk about it. When they're in the teacher's room, when they're in the hall, when we're together in our professional learning or our team meetings. What did you find? How are you using it? How does PowerUp support that in terms of thinking about the teaching strategies that go along with these technology tools or teaching ideas? Does anyone have any questions? We've done a lot of talking today, and I'm glad that so many of you have put something in chat. But any other questions, either in chat, if you want to put it in chat? Any other questions or comments? I'm thinking back, as you're thinking about comments or questions, I'm thinking back to those initial chat comments about badges. And I'm thinking, what would I have given a badge for if I had implemented my little technology blended learning plan? I think I would give a badge if someone, for those people that came ready for the meeting with 3 strategies and a technology tool. I would give a badge for that. During the meeting, I would give a badge when they completed the scavenger hunt, because they would have read the lesson in action closely and discussed that. And there might be an opportunity to even earn a 3rd badge if they posted information in our online discussion afterwards, our school discussion forum, about how they utilize something and what the impact was on a particular child. So there would be a way through just my own little blended learning lesson plan, almost like a little playlist of blended learning, how you could use badges with the materials that we have. Jason thought that was a good idea. Great. And someone who is this, Annette, is saying that you need time to process this wealth of resources. That's exactly right. We hope that you find the time and take the time to process this. And we also want to say, Caroline, you want to put up that last slide, that we are a federally funded project. We are available, if you get down to the last slide, we are available to help you. So if you thought that you would like us, me, Tracy, we have others on staff, to do a customized webinar just for your school, just for your district, we would be happy to do that. We could set up a time. We could do a short web tour. We could design it with you, a little professional development session. This is something that we would be very delighted to do in collaboration with you and your school. So we hope that you go and visit and dig into PowerUp, that you take advantage of the Tech Matrix, that you combine these 2 free, easy-to-access tools. You probably noticed no registration, no login. You click on the link there, and that we'd love to hear from you if you'd like us to follow up with a webinar. We also have bookmarks and brochures that we're always happy to send out to you. Tracy, I'm going to let you have the last word today.
Thanks so much, Judy. A great tour and a lot of information. Again, we look forward to hearing from you, and any feedback that you might have, we'd just be delighted to receive. We are incorporating the feedback that we receive from our users in the field to make sure that PowerUp works for you. So thank you all, and we look forward to meeting you again online. Take good care and stay warm. Take care. Bye-bye.